Why did you leave?
Yeah, it's actually something I still question to this day. But I've had time to think it over now with therapy and my own thoughts. I sit alone at night,
please take us through
my decision making.
What happened?
Well, it happened in an hour.
Yeah, I remember that because all of a sudden I was blocked.
But I think the pinch point happened in an hour. But what happened overall? Like
overall,
do you get what I mean? Like
yeah. So you want to just like start talking about everything now?
Yeah.
It's up to you.
Yeah. No,
up to you.
I'm fine with it. I already knew it was coming.
So basically there were some big issues that contributed to the fallout and you leaving the group.
Yeah, it was actually just, I think what it was, and we can get into that too, but I was dealing with addiction at the time pretty heavily.
And do you, just to be clear with everyone, do you want to say what the addictions things were or not?
I mean, I'll just say alcohol.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. That was also mostly the problem for a long time.
Okay.
So I'm not really, it doesn't really matter what other stuff was involved, but it was mostly alcohol. And I think what really made me leave in the end was that, and I think I've realized this now, was there wasn't any issues with us at all. Like actually everything was good. Well, not so good. Maybe we had some problems at the end, but the reason why I left was you called me out, and you always did.
Yeah, I do tend to.
But that's a good thing, and I'm not saying that's a bad thing. But back then, I wasn't ready for it, and I think in order to stay in my comfort zone of just like drinking and not really thinking about things, it was really, I left just so I could do that. Really.
Right, because you almost maybe had too much pressure now from me.
Well, I mean, it's a good thing. Like the expectations are good, and I shouldn't have left, obviously. But I think it was my way of just like staying in my comfort zone, because not getting called out is a lot better than getting called out when you're in that zone, So I just wanted to be left alone. And fortunately, what happened though is that I got sober.
But so there was. Did it take you?
To get sober?
Yeah.
Well, there's a bunch of like points where I was sober for like a long time, but then you relapse into drinking. I mean, drinking is the hardest one because it's everywhere, Like it's.
How long were you having these issues while we're recording with us? Because
it was a long time.
We were noticing things that were going on, but
showing up for a long time.
You didn't tell us that you had an addiction for a while.
Yeah. So I think I don't know when it started. Like I said, I'm really bad with time, but maybe you guys can kind of like point me in the direction.
I wouldn't worry too much about time. Just focus on the
I think it probably lasted about like half a year.
Yeah, so I think it started. It probably started with me feeling like my relationship was going bad at the time.
This is with my ex-wife.
Yeah. So that was going bad. Like not anything dramatic. It was just we weren't really in love anymore. Haven't done anything bad in that scenario. I would say I was actually really good. But so I probably started noticing that I had problems because I was sad about that, and I like drink to not think about it. And it took us a long time to break up, and when we eventually did, it was also around the time that my dad died. So there was a lot of things, and for somebody who's really bad at dealing with emotions, I think it was a natural thing for it to happen to me.
Because I think towards the end as well, like I think there was a bit of a shift. So I think at the beginning stages of it becoming visible, you were turning up to recording somewhat under the influence, and sometimes from our perception, and when I say under the influence, I might mean it's the day after, and you're you're
crazy,
it doesn't mean there's all sorts of different things,
moody,
and I think at the beginning me and Jelly had maybe the softer approach, and I think when you said about calling out, that actually probably came later down the line.
Yeah. I specifically remember one point where I don't know if you want me to say this, but you told me that we weren't friends anymore because you were so disappointed, which that really hurt me.
That was more of the crunch point after.
Yeah. But you were so tired of my bullshit that you said that to me, and that was really hurtful because I considered us friends, and you had always been actually I would say the one that was most attentive, or like you always knew,
present, I suppose.
Yeah, but you always also like had, for some reason, you've always had an insight in my mind. Like you were really early the one that said you need therapy and you need to seek help, and you probably have ADHD and stuff like that, and some unresolved issues, and you were always kind of like in my mind, which was also terrifying.
Yeah, and I think it's a mixture of things where it's like I for one reason or another I was able to recognize it all. Doesn't mean I have really any proper skill in handling it.
No.
So sort of doing as best I can, but then I think definitely got to a breaking point.
definitely.
So why did you say it? Why did you say we're not friends anymore?
I think it was in my mind. I was sort of just saying to Crainer, I was like, I just
Can't
when I
deal with
say
it.
that,
Can't deal with
it was
it
like I can't support it anymore. Like
Yeah,
I
yeah,
can't.
Which is
there's too many repetitions of the same
Yeah.
problem solution, and I was just like,
Lying.
and it was
lying.
more of me saying like, I'm not trying to. Obviously, we live in this complex world of YouTuber friendships where
Yeah.
it's like business friendship, and I think it was me just making a point of like, look, I've done what I can on the personal side of things,
Yeah.
and I'm not capable of doing.
Also,
this.
it's exhausting, and that's
Yeah,
that's one thing that I've also realized a lot is that it affects people around you a lot more than it probably does yourself. I mean, I wasn't feeling good at all; I was feeling terrible.
And I
but it's
think
also hard on people to see you go down that road.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think the reason why I was so to the point on it was I was sort of saying to you like, I don't want to disrupt your business. I don't want
Yeah.
to disrupt
Well, how could you?
Jelly's business in a sense.
How
Like
could-
none of that. I was just saying like that part of it.
Yeah.
Is
well,
I
how
can't
could
do
you
it
be
anymore.
friends with that? Because like it's like one moment everything's fine, then there's like 50 messages that
Yeah.
everything's bad. So I get it. I don't blame you at all.
It wasn't like a.
We actually
You guys always wanted the best for me.
Yeah,
and you were very. By the way, I gotta say this: you were very very patient with me, and you always was okay with me returning like a week later. So you guys did nothing wrong. You were fantastic. But the reason why I left, like I said, was. And it was kind of weird because that was where I kind of stopped having the problems. But maybe I just needed some alone time. But I simply just left because one, you also get exhausted from disappointing people.
Sure.
That's also, it's not easy on me. It's not like I'm sitting here enjoying disappointing you guys. And that's actually the hardest part is seeing people around you also be disappointed, So it was easier to remove myself from seeing that as well.
And how did you do that? How did you remove yourself from us?
I kind of, just like I said, a smoke bomb dropped and I just left.
So I think basically a fairly minor disagreement happened.
Very minor. Yeah.
And
you said
you sort of just used that as a.
Yeah, because the disagreement was between you guys. Because I was always I was trying to be supportive of your situation, but I also didn't want to be too personal about it. I just wanted you to.
I mean, we definitely
seek help.
You definitely had the conflicts. We all had the conflicts.
Yeah.
The specific crunch point was a dispute between me and Crainer on whatever.
Yeah.
And
I remember you just said that you were done with me.
yeah,
I was
just like
it was because
completely-
I was actually at the airport and I was late for a flight.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't have been late for a flight
and you
if
missed,
I had.
you missed our recording session.
But that was also it was also my fault. I would have been on time if I hadn't been,
So, and I think
drinking.
But I think what would be interesting for Jelly is that, so obviously then you detracted, you snapped back, but then you then went and blocked Jelly.
Yeah.
You didn't block Josh.
You blocked me on one thing, but then you blocked Jelly on like 10
You blocked
things.
me everywhere, and we didn't even have the beef.
No, I think I was actually mad at you because, I mean, it doesn't make any sense. But at that point, I wanted you to back me up because I felt like Josh was being.
Oh
mean
yeah,
to
I
me.
remember you were being
Yeah,
really
so I was
hard
like,
on
why are you not backing me up a little bit? But also, I didn't deserve any backup. So,
Right.
Looking
Now
back
you
on it
see
now,
why I didn't back you
yeah,
up.
yeah, it
it's
all
funny-
makes sense now when I'm removed from
Yeah.
it. I didn't deserve any backup.
I think it says a lot about the mindset you had at the time, though, that something happened and you almost became angrier at the person who didn't support you than the
Yeah.
person that made you.
Yeah,
Well,
but
you
like
were-
I was just, I didn't even know about the conversation you guys
Yeah.
had. So all of a sudden, out of the blue,
Yeah.
you dropped that smoke bomb and you were out of my life.
Well, I think it's just the point of when you just want to be left alone, really. You don't want to be judged and you don't want to have these confrontations.
So you made that selfish decision.
Yeah,
again.
I did. Yeah. And this time I didn't go to another YouTuber.
No.
No.
Yet.
so that one was purely
Came
just
calling back here.
you guys invited me.
I'm
okay?
just
So
kidding.
what was the so what was that process like afterwards then? So
So what
you talked
happened
about
after
the
I-
therapy? and
Yeah, so I started
You split with your wife at that point.
Yeah,
right?
that happened
roughly
before that.
Did
I
it before, was
think. That was in December, I
Okay.
think, or maybe before. I'm really bad at remembering months.
But around that time though, there was that, and then there was
Yeah.
with your dad as
Yeah.
well. So what did you go through afterwards then?
Without you guys?
I guess like what was because we
Did you stop uploading?
Well, I think I just kind of took it loosely because I knew I had to focus on myself mostly as well. You know,
I think you vanished on YouTube for about a month or two.
well, I had like all of December. I probably didn't upload at all. I think. But yeah, so what happened in the period after I left you guys is, well, I just kind of like was fed up with it myself. You know, and I also realized very quickly after blocking you guys that it was a mistake. But at that point, you're kind of a bit embarrassed.
Because
Oh, I know. It took you 9 months to unblock me.
Yeah, but it's also embarrassing.
And I actually remember that you unblocked Josh before me. And,
That was because he hit me up on Twitter first, actually.
oh, he did. I didn't know that.
Yeah,
That- yeah.
but that was another. I don't